Welcome back to Wealth Waves, the stock market. It can feel like a bit of a jungle out there sometimes, right? But we're here to be your guides. Today we're going deep on Brian Young's Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Investing in Stocks.
We'll be breaking it all down, pulling out the need-to-know stuff, and adding in our own 2 cents as well to make sure you really get it.
Yeah. Brian makes a really interesting case for why now is a good time to jump into the stock market, even with all the economic question marks everyone's talking about.
He's looking at the S&P 500's history. You know that index of the biggest U.S. companies? It's been trending up for decades, even with all the bumps along the way. Just think about it. It's hitting record highs even after a pandemic and with all this inflation talk.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you put it like that.
Yeah.
But why does he think that's going to keep going? Especially with, those banks that went under earlier this year and all that rising consumer debt. That's got to be a red flag, right?
It's definitely something to keep in mind. Brian doesn't shy away from those risks, but he also points out they can be chances for investors who know what they're doing. Like, he talks about how more people racking up credit card debt could actually be good news for certain bank stocks.
Wait, how does that work?
Think about it. More people using credit cards carrying balances, that means banks could rake in more interest and fees. It's a little bit of a head scratcher at first, but that's why you got to do your homework and really understand the ins and outs of different sectors.
Okay, starting to see how you can spot those hidden opportunities, even when things look a little iffy. But before we go too far, let's back up a sec. What even is the stock market? Brian talks about it like buying and selling pieces of companies. But what does that actually mean for me as an investor?
That's a great way to put it because it boils down to ownership. When you buy stock, you're literally buying a little piece of a company. You become a shareholder with a say in how well they do or don't do.
So if the company does great, my little piece is worth more.
Exactly. And if they tank well, it could be worth less. It's important to remember those stock prices, they bounce around all the time based on a whole bunch of things like how well the company's doing, trends in their industry, and just the overall mood of the market.
Got it. So how do companies even get listed on the stock market to begin with? Brian mentioned something called an IPO.
Ah, the IPO, initial public offering. That's when a private company decides to go public and offers shares of their stock to the public for the first time. It's their way to raise some cash and let regular investors like you and me get in on the action.
Okay, so it's like the company saying, hey, come on in and invest. But with so many companies out there, how do I even start to pick which stocks to buy?
That's where it gets interesting. Brian talks about all these different categories of stocks. It's kind of like choosing your investment style. Are you going for those high growth, potentially risky tech stocks, or are you more of a steady income, dividend loving investor? It all comes down to your goals and how much risk you're comfortable with.
That makes a lot of sense. So there's no one right way to do it. It's about figuring out what works for me.
Let's jump into those different types of stocks. I'm ready to choose my investment adventure.
Okay, so let's break down these stock types. Brian gets into common versus preferred stock, but honestly, preferred stock is kind of going extinct. For every dollar of preferred stock out there, you've got like $80 of common stock.
So common stock is really where it's at.
Yeah, most likely. Now, within common stock, think of it like picking your team. You've got your value stocks, your growth stocks, and your dividend stocks, each with their own strengths and weaknesses, just like players on a team.
I like that analogy. So value stocks, those are like the undervalued players with hidden potential.
You got it. Value investors, they're looking for companies they think the market's got wrong, like bargain hunters looking for those hidden gems that are trading for less than they're really worth.
And they're hoping the market eventually catches on, driving the price up. That's the game. Now, on the other side, you've got your growth stocks. These are the stars, the high flyers with that explosive potential. Think companies leading the charge in exciting industries that are growing like crazy, like AI or renewable energy.
Those are the ones you hear about all the time, making headlines, getting everyone buzzing. But they probably come with more risk, right?
Oh, absolutely. High growth usually means high volatility. Those stock prices can swing all over the place. Not for the faint of heart.
Got it. Then you have the reliable players, the dividend stocks.
Yeah, these are the steady earners. Often more mature companies that have a good track record of sharing their profits with shareholders through dividends. Think of them like your income-generating assets.
So a mix of all three types could make for a pretty solid portfolio.
It's a good way to think about it. Diversifying across different types of stocks can help you manage risk and hopefully get those returns you're looking for. So once you have a handle on the different types, the next question is how do you pick which specific stocks to buy?
That's the million-dollar question, right? Okay, I'm ready to put on my detective hat.
Brian talks about two main ways to research: fundamental analysis and technical analysis, your detective tools.
So what are we looking for with fundamental analysis?
With fundamental analysis, you're really digging into the company's financials, looking at things like their revenue, their profits, how much debt they have, their management team, and their overall position in the industry, like checking the foundation of a house before you buy it.
So I'm looking for solid companies with strong financials, a bright future.
You got it. You want to see that they're well managed, profitable, and they've got an edge over their competition.
And what about technical analysis? That sounds a little, well, technical.
It is, but it's a powerful tool. Technical analysis is all about looking at charts patterns and how the price has moved in the past to try and guess where it's going in the future. Kind of like reading the waves to figure out where to surf.
So I'm looking for trend signals that the stock price might go up.
That's the idea. Using past price data to try to figure out what's going to happen next.
Brian also mentioned some other interesting strategies, like following those influential traders and copy trading.
Those can be useful, especially when you're just starting out. Following influential traders, like what Brian calls the Nancy Pelosi strategy, means keeping an eye on what big-name figures who have to disclose their investments are doing with their money.
So I could see what stocks someone like Nancy Pelosi is buying and try to jump on that same train.
It's an interesting approach. But remember, even the best investors, they mess up sometimes. Their goals and how much risk they're willing to take could be totally different from yours. Always got to do your own homework.
Good point. And what about copy trading? Is that like having someone else manage my investments?
It's kind of similar, but not exactly. Copy trading platforms let you automatically copy the trades of more experienced investors. Can be a good way to spread out your investments, but you got to choose those copy traders carefully and really understand what they're doing.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Social sentiment analysis. Brian talks about how his friend made a ton of money just by paying attention to what people were saying about stocks online.
It's pretty wild, right? The idea is all that online chatter, all that sentiment can actually give you a heads up about where stock prices might be going. If there's a lot of buzz and positive vibes around a certain stock, it could mean the price is about to shoot up.
So I should be scrolling through Twitter and Reddit looking for stock tips.
Not quite. It's more about using tools and platforms that gather and analyze all that social media data to pick up on trends and shifts in sentiment.
And what about algorithmic trading? That sounds like something straight out of sci-fi.
It kind of is. Algorithmic trading is all about using computer programs to make trades automatically based on rules and strategies that are set up beforehand. Hedge funds and big institutional investors use it a lot to get an edge in terms of speed and efficiency.
So it's like having a robot trader working for me 24/7.
In a way, yeah. But remember, even algorithms are made by people.
Yeah.
And they're not perfect. There's always risk.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground on research and strategies. Now, before we actually go and buy some stocks, what about risk management? Brian really stresses having a game plan, getting rid of debt, having that rainy day fund, and knowing your risk profile.
All super important stuff. Having a game plan means figuring out what your financial goals are, why you're even investing in the first place, and setting realistic expectations.
So like asking myself, why am I doing this? And what am I hoping to get out of it?
Exactly. It's about making sure your investments are lined up with your goals and your financial situation.
And why is it so important to ditch that debt before I start investing?
Debt, especially that high-interest credit card debt, can really hold you back from building wealth. Those interest payments, they eat into your returns, make it harder to reach your goals.
Like trying to run a race with weights on your ankles.
Exactly. Get rid of that debt, and you'll be able to invest with a lot more freedom and peace of mind.
And what about that rainy day fund?
That rainy day fund is your safety net. It's that stash of cash you set aside for unexpected stuff emergencies, so you don't have to sell your investments at a loss if you suddenly need money.
Like having an emergency parachute.
You got it. And finally, knowing your risk profile is key. This is about knowing how comfortable you are with the possibility of losing money. Are you a cautious investor who likes slow and steady growth? Or are you okay with more ups and downs for the potential of bigger wins?
So if I'm younger and have more time, I might be okay with taking on more risk.
That's often the case. Younger investors, they have more time to recover from losses, while those closer to retirement might want to play it a bit safer.
Makes sense. It's all about matching your investment strategy to your own situation and comfort level.
Okay, so we've got our research, our strategies, our risk management plan all set. How do we actually buy these stocks?
That's where brokerage accounts come in. Think of them like your gateway to the stock market.
Brian walks us through opening an account and making trades using the Moomoo app. What makes Moomoo so special? Moomoo is a popular online brokerage platform known for its low fees, user-friendly design, and research tools. Plus, they offer some cool perks like the chance to snag some free stocks.
For stocks, I'm listening. But before I start clicking around, tell me about these order types Brian talks about.
Order types are all about how you want to buy or sell a stock. You got two main types: market orders and limit orders. A market order buys or sells a stock at whatever the current market price is. Make sure your order goes through fast.
So if I want to buy a stock right this second, no matter the price, I'd use a market order.
Yep. Now, a limit order lets you set a specific price you're willing to buy or sell at. Gives you more control over when you get in and out.
So if I think a stock's too expensive right now, I could set a limit order to buy it at a lower price if it drops.
That's right. Like setting a trap for the price you want.
I like that. Brian does a good job walking through the actual trading process on Moomoo too. Super helpful for visual learners like me.
But wait, we can't forget about taxes. How do those fit into all this? Brian explains capital gains taxes. Those are the taxes you pay on the profit you make from selling stocks. There are short-term and long-term capital gains taxes, and those rates can be really different.
So holding on to my investments for more than a year could save me some money on taxes.
Exactly. Long-term investing often has those tax advantages. But Brian also talks about a strategy called tax loss harvesting, which can be a game changer.
What's that all about?
It's a way to offset those capital gains by selling investments that have lost value. It's a strategic move that can lower your taxes and maybe even improve your overall portfolio performance.
So if I have some investments that are down, I can sell them to take those losses and use those losses to cancel out gains I've made on other investments.
Yeah, that's the gist. You're turning lemons into lemonade. Taking advantage of a bad situation to lower your tax bill. It's a smart move, especially if you're actively managing your portfolio.
Wow, this tax loss harvesting is blowing my mind.
Yeah.
Never realized you could use losses to your advantage like that. And Brian also mentions retirement accounts like Roth IRAs and 401ks, which I know offer some tax benefits too.
Yeah, they're awesome tools for building wealth for the long haul, especially since they come with tax advantages and sometimes even employer matching contributions, like getting a bonus on top of your investment returns.
So we've talked about choosing stocks, researching companies, managing risk opening accounts, making trades, and even dealing with taxes. Is there anything else I need to know before I jump into the stock market?
We've covered a ton, but the most important thing is to remember investing is a journey, not a destination.
What do you mean by that?
It means you don't have to have all the answers right off the bat. It's about starting where you are, learning as you go, and tweaking things along the way.
It's not about trying to time the market perfectly or finding some magic formula.
Nah, not at all. It's about building that solid foundation of knowledge, getting a good strategy in place, and sticking with it even when things get bumpy.
Brian's guide has given us a ton to think about. And we've thrown in our own experience to make it even more practical for you. What really sticks out to you from all of this? What are you going to dig into more?
What's so cool here is how it all ties together. We've talked about what's going on in the economy, how companies are doing investor psychology, government policies. It's like this whole web of things that affect the stock market.
Like we've zoomed out and seen the big picture.
Exactly. And the more you understand those connections, the better decisions you're going to make with your investments.
It's a little overwhelming, but also kind of exciting. Starting to see how the stock market isn't just about numbers and charts. It's about understanding the world and how it all works.
That's a great way to think about it. And remember, investing's a marathon, not a sprint. Patience, discipline, and always learning more, those are your best friends on this journey.
Couldn't agree more. Feeling a lot more confident and ready to start exploring this whole stock market thing. Thanks for taking me through this deep dive.
It's been my pleasure. Remember, knowledge is power. The more you know, the better you'll be at navigating the exciting world of investing.
Thanks for listening. If you're ready to take action, click the link in the description below to access my free resource archive and get the tools you need to start building wealth today. Don't miss out. Your next big step is just one click away.